Welcome back, Chess Kids. Fun Master Mike is here, and I don't know if you're sitting in your gamer's chair, but if it came with a seatbelt, you're gonna wanna buckle up. Also, hit that subscribe button before we get going. This game has been called already the Game of the Year. Okay, there's only a few months left this year, but you get the point. There's gonna be some excitement. Black was Grandmaster Shakhriyar Mamedyarov, and you can see the kings are castled on opposite sides. You know, it's a race to open up a file. Now it looks like Shak is doing quite bad because white already has an open file. The bishop is already lined up, and black doesn't even have his pawn storm going. None of these pawns are off the starting line just yet. So Shak decided to do something about that. He played h6, trying to open up the h file. Now, if white had just played a little bit calmly and captured the pawn, white probably would have been okay. I think white was a little bit scared about moving this knight because that weakens the f3 square, and white was worried about the knight hopping in, forking the king and the queen, and of course, you have to take, right? You do value your queen, right, chess kids? I hope you do. But after bishop takes, even though white has incredibly weak light squares, white is not in any kind of immediate danger, and white can continue his attack with a move like queen to a5. Still, it looks scary, and oh, by the way, this is what we call foreshadowing, okay? Weak light squares, don't forget about this idea. Let's go back to the actual game. White decided, you know what? I've already got my open file. I'm coming after you. I'm playing the move queen b4. Now notice white is technically answering an attack with an attack, which is a big no-no in Fun Master Mike land. Of course, when you're a super grandmaster, as white was, you can pretty much ignore everything I said because you know more, okay? But amazingly, white is not going to turn out better. We're going to see why. It looks like this attack is devastating, but Shak says, you know what? Every position's unique and you need to analyze it for what it is. Even though it looks scary, it doesn't automatically mean it is scary. So Shak went ahead and captured the knight. Now we still haven't gotten to the big fireworks, but I can guarantee you Shak saw the next few moves that were coming. It's almost more impressive to show you this lead-in rather than just show you the final move. Okay, so white is down a piece. Obviously white has to capture. King only has one move. And now white's big plan was to play the move bishop to b2. And it looks like black is in a world of trouble. The queen is in danger. The knight is in danger. This queen is still bearing down on black's king. What to do in this position? Of course, you could retreat the queen. That is legal. But you would not be featured in a ChessKid YouTube video. You would not be mentioned for Move of the Year. What is it? Can we get a drum roll? Maybe. Let's give you a few moments of silence and maybe even pause the videos. See if you are as smart as the Super Grandmaster was as black. Well, if you're back, you probably figured out it wasn't a queen move. Black does answer an attack with an attack. And remember, black got that open file. What to do with the open file? Open it even more. Rook takes h2. There are explosions on the chessboard, and actually white is lost in all variations. Of course, I'm going to show them to you. So one variation would be if you took the rook. But if you take the rook, then I just played the move rook to h8. And after rook to h8, your king pretty much has to go back. And now knight f3, this idea that we saw a few moves ago, but it packs so much more in the gunpowder when the h-file is open, because after takes and takes, good luck stopping rook to h1. You do have a couple of checks, but they don't actually lead anywhere, and white can try whatever he wants. Black can even give up the queen and the knight. He only needs the rook and the bishop for the mate, kind of like the morphine mate. I think you probably know what I'm talking about. Let's go back. Now, the only other main line we need to talk about would be if he takes the queen. And after takes, in this position, we need to do things in a devastating fashion, and surprisingly, you cannot play knight check now, because after I take the knight and you take back, the king takes the rook. Let's just double check that. So here, 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 what does white do? No, don't take the rook. That was a trick to see if you're paying attention. Now the queen can go to b5, and after the king tries to get out of the checks, let's just say he goes to this square, for example, now these checks are getting quite annoying, because when the king goes back, then I can actually check you here, and uh-oh, the queen can always take the bishop if it needs to, and then take the rook, and there's not going to be a mate. So a very nice counterattack, sort of a defensive counterattack. So what do we do in this position? We need to do everything with check. So we actually take the bishop first, Then after takes, then we play the check, okay? Now king here is quite bad because rook check leads to mate on h1, okay? So the king should go here. Now we play rook here. After rook h1, you're probably thinking, but Fun Master Mike, black still has to face these same checks and the queen will still get herself to f5. Ah, but there's a knight on the board. This makes all the difference in the world because now after queen b5 check, if you play a move like c6, the queen cannot get to f5. Now, if you block with the knight, the queen can get to f5. She will still make the sacrifice, and actually white will be ahead material and white will win. So do not let the queen sacrifice back. If you play c6, the checks will end. White can try queen b7. Your king can hide on e6. Actually, it's the only good hiding place. And in this position, yeah, white can slow things down by distracting your rook with queen check. But after you take, no matter what white does, literally, no matter what white does, even if white takes your knight, you just go all the way back to h8, and the light squares are so weak, rook h1 still cannot be stopped. Black was willing to give away the farm just to open up the h-file and get white's light squared bishop off the board. An amazing idea, and definitely it's getting my vote for Game of the Year.